Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. This series, I am once again joined by my wonderful co-host, That Darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are sharing our experience reading The Way of Kings for the first time. Each episode, we will summarize what we've read and discuss the experience along the way.
This is Storming the Archives, The Way of Kings, and today we discuss Chapter 30 and 31.
Chapter 30 and 31!
Yes, indeed. A quick note, I figured this was a short chapter, 30, so we are going to discuss it, and then we are going to do a blind of 31. You get a twofer today! Hooray!
Woohoo! Yeah.
Chapter 30, Darkness Unseen. Kaladin has won over everyone on the bridge crew. He leads them through morning drills. Gaz hates having only one eye. He hates living with the darkness, afraid that something lurks in the darkness waiting to swallow him. He hands a topaz mark over to Lamaril. It's only half as much as he owes. He hates having to pay him. Lamaril notes Gaz's problematic bridge crew. You have a problem, it seems. Gaz notes they've started running in time together, speeding them up. I don't see a problem. They're fast. That's good. They're insubordinate. They follow orders. His orders, perhaps. Bridgemen exist for one purpose, Gaz, to protect the lives of more valuable men. Really? And here I thought their purpose was to carry bridges. Don't try me, Gaz, and don't forget your place. Would you like to join them? I'm sorry, Bright Lord. Lamaril praises speed and initiative, but notes that the bridge crews do not need to be changed, and men like that bridge leader are rarely happy in their positions. Gaz hates himself for sending the bridgemen out as bait. Gaz offers to have Kaladin killed, but Lamaril does not want to make him a martyr. He insists that Kaladin must fall in the field. Gaz is amazed by what Kaladin has done. He's conflicted about Kaladin dying. On one hand, he needs Kaladin's bribes to pay Lamaril. On the other hand, if Kaladin doesn't die, Lamaril may make him, Gaz, a bridge runner. Kaladin praises the bridge crew, then gives them a break. The bridge crew has had a relatively easy 2 weeks. 2 have died, and 2 are wounded. Kaladin needs to figure out how to prevent Bridge 4 from drowning in its own wounded. Syl warns Kaladin that Gaz and Lamaril are planning something, though she missed most of the conversation. Kaladin can't worry about them until they try something, because he has too many issues directly in front of him to focus on. Besides, if they decide to kill him, there isn't really anything he could do to stop them. Syl is becoming more observant while Cal inspects the carpenter's well-built bridge. Kaladin has a risky idea. He instructs the bridge crew to practice carrying the bridge on its side. He lies to the bridge crew about why he wants to practice this way, which bothers Syl. Kaladin realizes he thinks of the bridgemen as soldiers. What they do requires tremendous courage. Moash wants to know why he was made a sub-squad leader. Kaladin tells Moash it is because he is capable, intelligent, and strong-willed. Moash doesn't trust Kaladin, but he obeys because he's curious. Gaz is dumbfounded by Kaladin's newest exercise. He beckons Kaladin over. He asks what Kaladin is doing, to which he responds with a quip. Gaz feels as if Kaladin, thanks to his height, is trying to be intimidating, but Gaz thinks to himself that he refuses to be intimidated. Kaladin lies again, claiming they're just building different muscle groups. For a moment, Gaz thinks something moved in the darkness. Gaz insults Kaladin, then Kaladin claims it's practice for if the bridge crew experiences heavy losses. Gaz realizes this could lead to Kaladin being killed on the field, solving his problem. Gaz compliments Kaladin, then insists that Kaladin try this new method out on a plateau approach. This could be one of my favorite chapters in the book so far.
Okay.
What can I say? I love unique POVs, let's say that. I really, really enjoyed Phelan's POV in Well of Ascension, and I really, really like Gaz's POV in this chapter. I'm not sure I would want a whole book of a Gaz POV, although I'm sure Sanderson is talented enough to make that interesting. But those times when you get them are always so neat. I like that.
I think we even wanted one because we speculated on Gaz kind of admiring Kaladin a little bit, not being as bad as he seems. I do remember speculating about that, where it was like, hmm, I don't know. I think Kaladin's gonna get to Gaz, and now we get this POV to kind of show, yeah, he does kind of had this begrudging sort of respect for Kaladin, or at least he's not as evil as we thought he was, because he
Mhm.
he hates himself for what he does and things like that, and he's a desperate man. So,
Yeah.
mm,
But before we even get to the Gaz POV, we get a little bit of Kaladin walking out into the bright, shining day with the glittering granite. And there was a specific
hold
line.
on.
Go on.
Sorry, I just forgot we didn't do the epigraph.
You're right. Let's do the epigraph now.
Mhm.
They were suddenly dangerous like a calm day that became a tempest. This fragment is the origin of a Thalen proverb that was eventually reworked into a more common derivation. I believe it may reference the Voidbringers. See Ixix's Emperor, 4th chapter. Again, I think this is Yasna's notes to herself, perhaps,
Mhm.
regarding the Voidbringers and everything.
Yeah, that's what I think, yeah. Scholarly notes.
Yep. They were suddenly dangerous like a calm day that became a tempest.
So they trigger pretty quick. I don't know.
Yeah. What
Mm.
is the they that you think they are? The big crab creature things that Elakar hunted?
She said void bringers. So, and we've spoken
She
about whether a
believes
void
it's
bring.
about the Voidbringers. So
She believes it. Yeah.
so what brings in the thought of the giant crab crawler things was the drawing of the Voidbringer looks like the
Mm.
giant crab crawler thing. And if the crab crawler things aren't uniquely dangerous unless you happen to be out hunting them, then they could look peaceful until suddenly they're not. So,
This confusion between those two things, which are which, continues.
hmm, yep. Is that all we have to say on the epigraph for the moment?
Yep.
Then back to what I was saying before, Kaladin steps
Mhm.
out into the bright, glittery day. He's thinking about the people on his team, and there was a specific line. Even a few men whose only sin had been poverty, those had joined the bridge crews out of desperation. So these aren't just slaves. These are
Mm.
citizens who are poor and have no other choice. And I don't know if we knew that before or learned that before, but it really sunk into me this chapter that that's really dark. That like, why can't you be a soldier or a servant of some kind or clean latrines?
Yeah.
Why do you have
What?
to be a
Yeah.
bridge runner?
Yeah. What? How desperate do you have to be that this is what you essentially chose to do?
Hmm.
Or maybe it is kind of like a, "Hey, I'll just try this out until I die," so it's cool.
Yeah,
But there is this, he does refer to this, if you survive 100 bridge runs, you'll get a watch post where you just, you all you gotta do is do watch, and I'm like, again, that just seems like, I don't know, I don't even know if anyone genuinely put that rule around or if it's just a rumor, and they've just allowed it to feel true, to encourage people.
right.
Yeah.
I,
Just bridge crews tragic.
yep, very much so. But then we
Mhm.
get to Gaz's POV, and he's got a lot of insecurities about his eye, his missing eye, rather, and the darkness with it. I
Mm.
had some degree of empathy for him on this matter. I broke my hand once, and it wasn't set entirely properly.
Mhm.
So it even years after the fact, it still feels broken, if that makes sense. It's not like terrible or anything, and you can't tell by looking at
Mm.
it, but it like it will never feel the same. So
Mm.
I have felt sorry for Gaz in this moment. I get it.
Yeah, like my body is altered forever.
Yeah.
I'm missing something, and it's a weakness.
Yeah. And then there's something very specific I want to talk about, but I think it's in the second Gaz POV of the chapter. Let's talk about Lamaril, though.
Mhm.
Gaz thinks of him as more dangerous than your average light eyes because he's so low on the totem pole that he really needs to feel like he has to exercise his power over those less fortunate.
Yeah, because he has relatively little. He's at the bottom when it comes to
Hmm.
light eyes, so he's the first step above
Yep.
dark eyes.
And he threatens Gaz to turn him into a bridge runner.
Yeah, which, I mean, could happen, and then he's one of Kaladin's.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Did we get any sort of information regarding what he's paying Lamaril for?
No.
I didn't get the sense that it was to keep Lamaril quiet about Bridge 4. I don't think that's what the
Yes.
payment was.
Initially, I considered that, and then I was like, "No, no, no, this has been" he refers to it maybe 2 or 3 times, and it seems like a separate debt. It's
Hmm.
not because it's not because of Kaladin that he has this debt. It's
Right.
it is called blackmail as well.
Yeah.
He
So
he says it's
what
called
did he
blackmail.
do?
Yeah, so what did he do? So that's a nice new layer of mystery. It's like, oh, when we first bring it up, it's just even in the experience of the reading of this chapter. When he first brings it up, you're like, oh, maybe, haha, he has to use some of his bribe to continue the bribe. That's a bit strange. And then you're like, oh, okay, no, there's something more. So he's actually benefiting from Kaladin. He's desperate,
Yeah.
and he's also still only paying half. So he's still
Hmm.
behind on his payments and everything. So I don't know what this guy has on him, but mm,
It's a tough
he's
situation. I'll
yeah,
be curious to see if Gaz ends up having to go to Kaladin for help in some way.
yeah.
That'll be very interesting. But then we go back to Kaladin, and there are a couple of important elements here that I wanted to talk about. I get the sense that Moash is going to become a very strong supporter of Kaladin. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's one that's made a real choice about it. He's one
Hmm.
that's not going to just fall at Kaladin's feet and be like, "Oh yeah, you're amazing." He has said like, "You're not a gift from the Almighty," but
Hmm.
he has curiosity. He's curious as to how good Kaladin really is, I suppose. And once he becomes convinced, you will not be able
To
to
unconvince him.
shake him. Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
but
exactly.
part of what I'm getting at as well is Moash basically says, "Why did you pick me as a sub squad leader?" And Kaladin says, "You're strong willed, you're stubborn, you've got all of these great qualities." And Moash strikes me from his behavior in past chapters up to now as someone who probably hasn't gotten a lot of praise or
Mhm,
had an opportunity to display some sort of leadership quality. He hasn't been given an opportunity to excel. I
mm,
imagine this is all like from what little I've read about him
mhm.
going on in my mind. But basically he was super stubborn. I don't know how to articulate why I have these feelings about Moash.
Just a sense of him just from what you've read.
It's a sense. I mean, you hear stories, you see stories of people who are very, very intelligent, but they are in bad situations. So they choose to stay in those bad situations instead of being able to really shine.
Mhm.
And I, I, I don't know. He just struck me as one of those kinds of people.
And he needs that little nudge basically from Kaladin.
Yeah, like Lip from Shameless, maybe
Yes. Yeah.
a little bit, sort of punky but capable of so much more because we definitely
Yeah.
got all of the punk, and here we are
Yeah.
highlighting his good qualities. So
Yeah.
anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about here was Kaladin lies to the bridge crew about why they're training in a slightly different way than normal with the bridge, and Syl
Mhm.
frowns. Scylla's great, by the way. She's talking
I
about
love
like
Syl.
painting people blue or
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah,
But
that sorry. Yeah, that actually is like that reads like a memory.
yeah, we know she's got memories coming back to her, but it's
Mhm.
very fey of her, very
Mhm.
trickstery.
Yeah,
But she
very cute.
frowns at the lie,
Mhm.
which is almost in contrast to the tricksteriness because tricksters, maybe it's a good natured lie, but there's still a bit of lie
Mm.
going on there.
No, but this she doesn't she sees this as it's not mischievous at all, it's not fun. It's
Yeah,
it's a lie, it's deception. She's not comfortable with it, and she frowns at
yeah,
it. Mm.
yeah. And now that we've covered that, we can go back to the last Gaz POV in which basically Kaladin comes on up, and of course, from Gaz's POV, Kaladin's trying to be intimidating, which he
Mm.
probably is, and Gaz doesn't take it kindly. But Kaladin tells the same lie to Gaz. He's like, "We're just
Mhm.
working out different muscle groups. I don't know what to tell you." And
We're just being
there,
stupid, it's fine.
yeah, and there's a very specific line. Gaz glanced to the side. Had something moved in the darkness? And given Syl frowning at the lie before, I wondered
Mhm.
if he had noticed Syl in the darkness, or that's what that was. But then my
Mhm.
mind went to the geometry men that Shalon drew. And I wondered if
Mhm.
he clued into that as well. So I think it could be either of those things. I don't know which, but there's something in the darkness.
It's not just his paranoia. Like, you could try and
Hmm.
dismiss it and be like, "Oh, it's just because he's insecure because he doesn't have this eye, and he's starting to jump at shadows because he knows that this is a weakness of his. He's vulnerable in this way." But actually, you're saying, yeah, I agree, there's a possibility it's not just there's a hint that it's not just him being insecure. It's something there's actually something there. Could be Syl, could be those guys.
Hmm.
But I mean, it was interesting that did something move in the darkness. It does come straight after he tells the lie. It could
Hmm.
you could say, oh, that happens just because he's not really believing the lie. He suspects something, and that's why he thinks the darkness moved. So that's his
Hmm.
paranoia. But then when you said, well, it could be Syl, maybe he's able to see spirits now.
Yeah, maybe
Mm.
something's there. It's
Yeah.
that line was too specifically placed not to have
Mm.
some sort of deeper meaning.
Yeah. For sure. And also one of the other things I just noticed was that he does mention the handles, the way that the handles are
Mm,
constructed, and that makes it difficult. So it's like, okay, so if this works, if we would need Kaladin to change the way that the bridges are built to
right. And,
make this okay. Yeah.
right. And this intention is to use the bridges themselves as shields, right? That's what his
Mhm.
plan is.
Yeah.
But obviously that defeats the literal purpose of the bridgemen to be
Mhm.
arrow fodder. There,
Mhm.
and that's not going to be great.
Yeah, like they still they do get arrows, cool, but then they're it's and it's a huge risk for him to do that.
Hmm.
Like that is a huge, huge tactical change that is kind of like rebellion from the
Yeah.
bridge crew. Like if everybody heard about that, that's rebellion.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
Gaz doesn't understand that, or rather, he doesn't
Mm,
see the practicality of carrying the bridge
mm,
like that quite yet.
mhm.
So he encourages Kaladin to keep working at it, hoping that it'll get him killed.
Yeah, he's looking for that. He's looking for something to help him because he doesn't know he's going to get rid of Kaladin on the field because he's just oh, geez, that just reminds me. Somebody in the beginning, the first POV, Gaz is actually said his friends called him lucky. That just made
Mm.
me go, "Ooh, Kaladin lucky," kind of thing. Which is sorry, I
Ah,
just put that together. It's
I
not
like
that
that.
huge, but I did remember that. Sorry, just because I was gonna say, Kaladin. The thing that reminded me is that Kaladin is the lucky guy on the battlefield. He does survive. He does tend to just persist. Sorry, Gaz, but that's really what he does. So,
Yeah,
mm. Do you think we get Gaz as a bridgeman?
I think it's possible. I think it's
Mm.
very possible. Unironically, I don't see the Gaz Lamoral relationship working out very well.
Mhm.
Or at the very least, I do see an ideological shift in which Gaz does come to like Kaladin and the rest.
Or how yeah, or basically become forced to. It's his only hope. But
Hmm.
also with regards to Gaz, oh shit, I slipped my mind as you were talking. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, let's also briefly discuss that Lamaril needs Kaladin to die now.
Mhm.
So that's not poisoned, not stabbed in the night. They don't want to make him a martyr.
Mhm.
Lamaril specifically said something to the effect of men like him are rarely happy in their position. I don't know. See, Lamaril's not thinking this through entirely. I mean, yes, the bridge crews can't change, but why not ele- elevate Kaladin to a fake position and essentially use him to give some degree of hope to false hope, of course, to the bridge crews to be like, yeah, you can make it to 100 and then you'll get promoted just like Kaladin. And you turn Kaladin into like a powerless, seemingly powerless figure with no like actual power.
And that kind of neutralizes him because
Yeah.
you are in control of him.
Yeah.
I don't yeah, I don't think that that's a lot of work. Rather just let him die. Sounds like
True.
this Lamoral guy is just roll. No, no, no. That's too complicated. Okay, that's
That's
got too
true.
many people involved. Uh-uh. We're not like that. We're just
He
okay.
doesn't
You're rather inconvenient. Just die.
Lamarel doesn't have the meta knowledge that I do that Kaladin's an MC, a main character,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
therefore won't be dying anytime soon.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anything
Yeah,
else to say on the chapter?
nothing. Yeah, no, unless if it does come up, what I was thinking before, I'll let you know. But I think that's good.
Excellent. Then shall we start with our blind for 31?
Let's go.
Neither of us have read this. Kitty didn't even know we were going to do this. I
Mhm.
sprung it on her right before we started recording.
Yep. Exciting.
Yeah. Beneath the Skin. 6 years ago. Don't make the same mistake I did, son. Cal looked up from his folio. His father sat on the other side of the operating room, one hand to his head, half-empty cup of wine in his other. Violet wine among the strongest of liquors. Okay.
Oh no, is his dad an alcoholic now? Because 6 years ago, where were we? When was our last flashback?
Go take a look.
7 years ago. So we're 6 years now. So it was 7 years ago.
Okay, so this is chronologically closer to current
Hmm.
day. Yeah?
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh no. And he's got a drink, a strong liquor. That tells me
Hmm.
that the new city lord has not been kind,
Kind.
Jinx.
Hmm.
Liren set the cup down, and the deep purple liquid, the color of Kremling blood, shivered and trembled. It refracted stormlight from a couple of spheres sitting on the counter. Father? When you get to Carbronth, stay there. His voice was slurred. Oh, he's drunk!
Oh, yeah, he.
Oh
This is
no.
this is a problem. Oh no.
Look, I know I was hard on Liren in the last chapter. Perhaps too hard, but no, I don't. I would never have wanted this for him. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't get sucked back to this tiny, backward, foolish town. Don't force your beautiful wife to live away from everyone else she's ever known or loved. Cal's father didn't often drink. This was a rare night of indulgence, perhaps because Mother had gone to sleep early, exhausted from her work.
Okay, so he's not an alcoholic. It's just this is just him being drunk and bitter and sad. And okay, I get that.
Yeah, that makes it a bit better.
Hmm.
You've always said I should come back, Cal said softly. I'm an idiot. His back to Cal, he stared at the wall splashed with white light from the spheres. They don't want me here. They never wanted me here. Cal looked down at his folio. It contained drawings of dissected bodies, The muscles splayed and pulled out. The drawings were so detailed. Each had glyph pairs to designate every part, and he'd committed those to memory. Now he studied the procedures, delving into the bodies of men long dead. Look. Yes, Lirin, they don't want you there. So go somewhere where you're appreciated. Like, is it right? No. But you're too good for
You
them. You are too
can
good
you
for
leave?
them.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just filled with regret here, and this is all of the feeling that he keeps away from Kaladin, and I would suspect his wife knows a little bit about this. But this is all that he kept away from his young son, or
Yeah.
keeps away from his young son.
Once, Laurel had told him that men weren't supposed to see beneath the skin. These folios with their pictures were part of what made everyone so mistrustful of Lirin. Seeing beneath was like seeing beneath the clothing, only worse. Yeah, I could see that as a
Yeah,
thing.
that's creepy. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't like the idea of my spinal cord. Thank you, but I need it.
Lirin poured himself more wine. How much the world could change in a short time. Cal pulled his coat close against the chill. A season of winter had come, but they couldn't afford charcoal for the brazier, for patients no longer gave offerings.
Okay, whose fault is that? What's changed in the culture? God.
Lirin hadn't stopped healing or surgery. The townspeople had simply stopped their donations, all at a word from Rochon.
There you go.
Okay. I mean, look, if you broke your hand or something, of course, go to the doctor. But damn, to do that and stop the donations. It's like Rochon is the power guy right now, so he can
Hmm.
easily tell them, don't donate to him, or else you're gonna have trouble too.
Hmm.
But somehow I get the sense that they don't mind not donating after last chapter.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's weird enough, and if they could easily be tipped towards not giving a damn about him. So
Hmm.
there was already that skepticism around him.
Yeah. He shouldn't be able to do this, Cal whispered. But he can, Lirin said. He wore a white shirt and black vest atop tan trousers. The vest was unbuttoned, the front flaps hanging down by his sides, like the skin pulled back from the torsos of the men in Cal's drawings. We could spend the spheres.
The vision, what's it? The imagery of this
Hmm.
skin being pulled back. We really got to think about that. We keep getting reminded about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great because Lirin right now is very raw.
Yeah, true. He is going. Yeah, he's very raw. It's like there's been layers peeled back here.
Yeah. We could spend the spheres, Cal said hesitantly. Those are for your education, Lirin snapped. If I could send you now, I would. Cal's father and mother had sent a letter to the surgeons in Carbronth, asking them to let Cal take the entry tests early. They'd responded in the negative. No, don't you want the child prodigy?
Now they're like, no, 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 he's not old enough. It will make training difficult and whatever. So you would have to believe he's a prodigy. What do they have any proof of that yet?
Mm-hmm. True. He wants us to spend them, Lirin said, words slurred. That's why he said what he did. He's trying to bully us into needing those spheres. Rochon's words to the townspeople hadn't exactly been a command. He'd just implied that if Cal's father was too foolish to charge, then he shouldn't be paid. The next day, people had stopped donating. Ay.
I did suspect that that's what they were. I did suspect that that's what he was saying. That
Mhm.
it's like fine if he's not going to charge. So he hasn't stopped Liren from charging either. So Liren could charge. So it's kind of forcing Liren to like go against his beliefs. It's
Yeah.
like, oh well, I can make you this non-idealistic person. The only reason you couldn't charge before, you were okay to not charge before is because people donated. But now what happens when the donations are gone? Then you would have to refuse people unless they pay you.
Hmm.
You would have to come down to my level.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I can see this Roshon person not being happy about just Liren having that integrity. It's like, oh, you think you're better than me? So
Yeah. The townsfolk regarded Rochon with a confusing mixture of adoration and fear. In Cal's opinion, he didn't deserve either. Okay, good. Cal's
Mhm,
opened his eyes a bit. Good.
mhm.
In Cal's opinion, he didn't deserve either. Obviously, the man had been banished to Hearthstone because he was so bitter and flawed. He clearly didn't deserve to be among the real Light Eyes who fought for vengeance on the Shattered Plains. Oh,
Yeah,
well,
there you go.
never
Okay.
mind then.
There's still his naivety. So he's like, okay, this must be that's fine. That's usually it. It's like this he's not gonna change his whole prejudice, which is a positive one, I suppose. He's not gonna change his whole view of the lighthouse. He's just gonna be like, oh, this is just a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. And also he's using it's confirmation bias. He's like, yeah, of course he's here because he's a bad person. He was banished here because he's a bad lighthouse. The other lighthouse are great.
Yep. Why do people try so hard to please him? Cal asked of his father's back. They never reacted this way around Bright Lord Wistio. They do it because Rochon is unappeasable. Cal frowned. Was that the wine talking? Cal's father turned, his eyes reflecting pure stormlight. In those eyes, Cal saw surprising lucidity. He wasn't so drunk after all. Bright Lord Wistio let men do as they wished, and so they ignored him. Rochon lets them know he finds them contemptible, and so they scramble to please him. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
frequently how that works.
Yeah, that sounds plausible to me. And yeah, it makes sense that he would note that and be perceptive
Yeah.
enough to see that.
I'm reminded a little bit of Tywin Lannister and his dad. His dad was a laughing stock that everyone took
Mhm.
advantage of and was foolish. And then Tywin came to power and set things straight.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be viewed that way. Thank you very much.
Yeah. That makes no sense, Cal said. It's funny because we just said, yep, that makes sense. It is the way of things, Lirin said, playing with one of the spheres on the table, rolling it beneath his finger. You'll have to learn this, Cal. When men perceive the world as being right, we are content. But if we see a hole, a deficiency, we scramble to fill it. You make it sound noble, what they do. It is in a way, Lirin said. He sighed. I shouldn't be so hard on our neighbors. They're petty, yes, but it's the pettiness of the ignorant. I'm not disgusted by them. I'm disgusted by the one who manipulates them. A man like Rochon can take what is honest and true in men and twist it into a mess of sludge to walk on. What is honest and true in men? Where have we heard that before?
Probably in Dalinor's POV.
Oh gosh, it's really going to bother me. I'm so confident we heard that specific phrase. It wasn't Tindwell talking about Alrion. She has a unique sense of seeing what's good in a person. That no, I don't think that's what it
Mm-mm.
is.
Elantris?
No.
It's
Well,
so general, it could be in any of the books, honestly.
yeah, I'm sure it'll come to me. Anyway, we should just spend the spheres. No, move. Move. All of you move and then continue saving again. Okay.
Yeah, well, that is spending. So moving is spending some of it.
Yeah,
But then this is Lirin's pride. He's like, no, I won't be. I won't be forced. I won't be bullied by this man.
true.
So moving is not an option because that's letting this Roshon guy win.
Yeah. We should just spend the spheres or send them somewhere to a moneylender or something. If they were gone, he'd leave us alone. No, Lirin said softly. Roshon is not the kind to spare a man once he is beaten. He's the type who keeps kicking. I don't know what political mistake landed him in this place, but he obviously can't get revenge on his rivals, so we're all he has. Lirin paused. Poor fool. Poor fool, Cal thought. He's trying to destroy our lives, and that's all Father can say? Oh?
Yeah, it seems like a mechanism that Lirin uses, a response that he always has, is that when he's wronged, he feels sorry for the person that is wronging him.
Yeah?
He's like, oh, they have their own. He just does this moral relativity thing.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, they have their own reasons to do it, therefore I can't really be that mad at them. It's like, no, they're pretty bad. We're pretty annoyed with them.
Yeah.
So Kaladin's there with the real human emotions, like, and then Lyran's there with the overcompensating psychological reaction.
Liren's got the adult take, and Cal's got the young take.
Mhm.
What of the stories men sang at the hearths? Tales of clever herdsmen outwitting and overthrowing a foolish, light-eyed man. There were dozens of variations, and Cal had heard them all. Shouldn't Liren fight back somehow? Do something other than sit and wait? But he didn't say,
Wow, that's so hold on. That's pretty cool. I didn't did what do you think of tales of a clever herdsman outwitting or overthrowing a foolish light-eyed man? That I didn't really expect so much in their folklore. I suppose I didn't think there would be that many.
yeah, I
So
mean,
this is actually part of their culture that to be like, yeah, we can be smarter than light eyes. We can outwit the foolish light eye.
yeah, my mind goes to Robin Hood kind of story.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose yeah, it's not something I would have expected. But it makes sense.
It makes sense, but then there is still no, I'm not saying that now this means that his admiration for light eyes doesn't make sense anymore. It's just because his admiration for light eyes was there, I didn't really consider that there are stories like this
Mm,
where the light eyes is the bad guy kind of thing.
right. But he didn't say anything. He knew exactly what Liren would say. Let me worry about it. Get back to your studies. Sighing, Cal settled back in his chair, opening his folio again. The surgery room was dim, lit by the four spheres on the table and a single one Cal used for reading. Liren kept most of the spheres closed up in their cupboard, hidden away. Cal held up his own sphere, lighting the page. There were longer explanations of procedures in the back that his mother could read to him. She was the only woman in the town who could read, though Liren said it wasn't uncommon among well-born dark-eyed women in the cities. Okay, cool.
Mhm. So she was well born. We know that. We
Yeah.
learnt about this before that she was, and she's kind of come down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also where Lyran's guilt is from.
Yeah. Are you worried that Cal's gonna sneak some of the spheres?
I don't know if I don't know what. Look, it has been a year, but I don't know if he's that naughty.
True. As he studied, Cal idly pulled something from his pocket, a rock that had been sitting on his chair for him when he'd come in to study. He recognized it as a favorite one that Tien had been carrying around recently. Now he'd left it for Kaladin. He often did that, hoping that his older brother would be able to see the beauty in it too, though they all just looked like ordinary rocks. He'd have to ask Tien what he found so special about this particular one. There was always something. That's sweet.
Good reminder. And just again, oh, what happened to Tien?
Mm-hmm. Tien spent his days now learning carpentry from Rahl, one of the men in the town. Liren had set him to it reluctantly. He'd been hoping for another surgery assistant, but Tien couldn't stand the sight of blood. He froze every time and hadn't gotten used to it. That was troubling. Cal had hoped that his father would have Tien as an assistant when he left, and Cal was leaving, one way or another. He hadn't decided between the army or Carbronth, though in recent months he'd begun leaning toward becoming a spearman.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, we didn't have reference to that too
yeah.
much before. So like we knew that made him feel a certain thing. Where is he at? So obviously he lands up being a spearman.
Mm-hmm.
He lands up going to the army, not Carberant.
Yeah. Possibly in part to let his family keep the money, maybe,
Yeah,
which would be
yeah.
terrible. And it's very important for Brandon Sanderson to have established that even though he's disillusioned with Rashon, he still is optimistic for
Mhm,
the other Light Eyes, because if Rashon alone was enough to disillusion Kaladin on all Light Eyes, he probably wouldn't go
mhm.
fighting for them.
Exactly, yeah.
If he took that route, he'd have to do it stealthily once he was old enough that the recruiters would take him over his parents' objections. 15 would probably be old enough. 5 more months. For now, he figured that knowing the muscles and vital parts of a body would be pretty useful for either a surgeon or a spearman. A thump came at the door. Cal jumped. It hadn't been a knock, but a thump. It came again. It sounded like something heavy pushing or slamming against the wood. Oh no.
Oh my god, is this when it all happens?
It's not Tien, is it?
No.
I hope not. What in the storm winds? Liren said, rising from his stool. He crossed the small room, his undone vest brushed the operating table, buttons scraping the wood. Another thump. Cal scrambled out of his chair, closing the folio. At 14 and a half, he was nearly as tall as his father now. A scraping came at the door, like nails or claws. Cal raised a hand toward his father, suddenly terrified. It was late at night, dark in the room, and the town was silent.
Well, this is just giving me that the Dalinar thing, the creatures that
Yeah,
Dalinar encountered. That's what that's giving me. And I'm like, wait, how does that work? How does that happen? And we're not talking about that having occurred.
yeah.
Uh,
Like, unless,
okay.
like, Kaladin wiped it from his memory or something.
No, but I'm not even that. I understand Kaladin not referring to the knight in question, basically in his mind a lot. But an attack like that happening on a village
Yeah.
is, I know that it's an obscure village, but something like that is,
Major
it would have
news.
come to light. You major news, yeah. And okay, maybe if it's just once and then it just never happens again, then we don't know about it. But why would it happen once and never again? These things are wild.
Mm-hmm.
They're crazy. What the hell is this? I'm scared. Oh, good, blind.
Yeah. There was something outside. It sounded like a beast, inhuman. A den of white spines were said to be making trouble nearby, striking at travelers on the roadway. Cal had an image in his head of the reptilian creatures as big as horses, but with carapace across their backs. Was one of them sniffing at the door, brushing it, trying to force its way in? Father! Cal yelped. Liren pulled open the door. The dim light of the spheres revealed not a monster, but a man wearing black clothing. He had a long metal bar in his hands. He wore a black wool mask with holes cut for the eyes. A thief? A thief who wasn't expecting them to be home? Or
I don't know.
awake?
Who is this guy? I don't know. Like he's in disguise. I don't know. I'm
Hmm.
just terrified.
Cal felt his heart race in panic as the would-be intruder leapt backward. Didn't expect to find anyone inside, did you? Cal's father said. It's been years since there was a theft in the town. I'm ashamed of you. Okay, that really speaks to what
Okay.
Cal was thinking earlier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, and now people know about these. And listen, remember when we first thought about the spheres and Rashon and all of that, we were like, okay, people are gonna have a problem with these spheres. These spheres
Mm-hmm.
are going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is one of them. That yeah, you if everybody knows you have this huge amount of money,
Yeah.
people might take chances, and maybe Rashon lets those chances happen because
Mm-hmm.
it suits him.
Yeah. Give us the spheres! A voice called out of the darkness. Another figure moved in the shadows, and then another. Stormfather! Cal clutched the folio to his chest with trembling hands. How many are there? Highwaymen, come to rob the town. Such things happened, more and more frequently these days, Cal's father said. How could Liren be so calm? Please tell me
I don't know.
that
He's drunk.
but please tell me that just like Mr. Miyagi, who was a pacifist, just like Liren, that you know karate, Liren. Please tell me you're willing to use it.
Yeah, he knows the anatomy so well that he can judo chop and like knock everybody out pretty quickly. Or is this Kaladin's time to show his dad that he's been practicing?
Oh,
But then again, and yes, Kaladin actually probably is rather a fit, a strong teenager.
yeah,
So maybe,
tall.
but then again, and also they wouldn't expect him to fight. But I don't know. I feel like they're probably going to be robbed. I don't feel like they're going to fight back and win.
I'm wondering if Liren's gonna die. Because
No!
we know Tien's gonna die, but there are no
Is this the
thoughts
first?
about Liren.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh gosh, if Liren and if Tien is about to get involved and then they both die and then it's just Cal and his mom. Mm,
Well, it feels like everyone dies in his
yeah,
whole family. So
yeah,
even if it's not right now and all in one day, it's eventually.
yeah. Those spheres ain't yours, another voice called. Is that so? Cal's father said. Does that make them yours? You think he'd let you keep them? Cal's father spoke as if they
Okay.
weren't bandits from the outside the town. Oh no, this is a
Rashon
rob.
sent them.
Yeah, this is I think Atticus defending the prison with, what was his name, Robinson in it,
I don't know.
and then Scout runs up and talks all of them down. Except I have a feeling that this isn't going to go nearly as well
There's
as it
no
does
yeah,
in To Kill a
there's no talking
Mockingbird.
down. Yeah, there's yeah, because things went well in To Kill a Mockingbird. But,
True.
no, that's the thing. What has happened is Rashawn has sent these people, so that's
Hmm.
what he means by you think he'd let you keep them, so it's like you're doing this for him, but he's not gonna let you keep this stuff, so you trusted him. Great, Lurin coming with all the facts and knowledge and logic, but yeah, these guys gonna beat you up.
Yeah. Is that so? Does that make them yours? You think he'd let you keep them? Cal's father spoke as if they weren't bandits from outside the town. Cal crept forward to stand just behind his father, frightened, but at the same time ashamed of that fear. The men in the darkness were shadowy, nightmarish things moving back and forth, faces of black. We'll give them to him, one voice said. No need for this to get violent, Liren, another added. You ain't going to spend them anyway. Cal's father snorted. He ducked into the room. Cal cried out, moving back as Liren threw open the cabinet where he kept the spheres. He grabbed the large glass goblet that he stored them in. It was covered with a black cloth. You want them? Liren called, walking to the doorway, passing Cal. Oh, he's just going to get up and give it to him? There's no way. He cares too much about his son's education.
What is this? Or is he just so disappointed in the townspeople he's just giving up?
He's going to try and
No.
guilt them into not taking it. I don't think that's
He's
going to
trying to
work.
talk them down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Father, Cal said, panicked. You want the light for yourself? Oh, that's an iconic line right there.
Mhm.
Liren's voice grew louder. Oh, no, he's going to do one of those blinding things, and then he's going to say, Cal, run, or something like that. You want the light for yourself? Liren's voice grew louder. Here! He pulled the cloth free. The goblet exploded with fiery radiance, the brightness nearly blinding. Cal raised his arm. His father was a shadowed silhouette that seemed to hold the sun itself in its fingers. Oh, I bet that's cinematic AF.
Mhm. Mhm. And yeah, these guys have been out in the night, so it'll be nice and blinding for them.
Yeah, put this one in the trailer.
Mhm.
The large goblet shone with a calm light, almost a cold light. Cal blinked away tears, his eyes adjusting. He could see the men outside clearly now. Where dangerous shadows had once loomed, cringing men now raised hands. They didn't seem so intimidating. In fact, the cloths over their faces looked ridiculous. Where Cal had been afraid, he now felt strangely confident. For a moment, it wasn't light his father held, but understanding itself. That's Luton, Cal thought, noticing a man who limped. It was easy to distinguish him despite the mask. Cal's father had operated on that leg. It was because of him that Luton could still walk. He recognized others too. Harl was the one with the wide shoulders. Balsas, the man wearing the nice new coat. Liren didn't say anything to them.
These these idiots.
Yeah.
These idiots. They're just village louts now
Mm-hmm.
that were just convinced they must do what they got to do because we were just talking about them appeasing this lord.
Yep.
And they've they're like, "Oh, screw this man that has healed me, and I can walk today because of him." No, no, it doesn't matter. He's not the Lord. I'll just do what I'm supposed to do.
Yep.
Screw these guys, man.
Yep. Liren didn't say anything to them at first. He stood with the light blazing, illuminating the entire stone square outside. The men seemed to shrink down as if they knew he recognized them. Well, you've threatened violence against me. Come, hit me, rob me. Do it knowing I've lived among you almost my entire life. Do it knowing that I've healed your children. Come in, bleed one of your own. The men faded into the night without a word.
Shoo! He did talk them down. Not really talk them down. He reprimanded their asses. You be ashamed of yourselves.
Yep.
This is what you're doing. But that just makes me go, yeah, it got worse though.
Yeah,
So that was just the beginning. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, clearly, though, Sanderson's doing important things with
Mm-hmm.
illumination
Flashback.
and light
Yes, the illumination. Mm-hmm.
here. That's
Yeah.
very important.
He holds understanding itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whew.
Right, that was a good one. I wish we got more of, but these flashbacks are only sprinkled in. but we learn a lot.
Yeah. And it was dangerous because obviously, like, you've got that added layer of we're expecting tragedy
Mhm.
out of these.
Mhm.
So I really wasn't expecting it to end as it had, which was interesting.
It's a relief.
Yeah.
But we know that it's gonna come, but I'm glad it wasn't this time.
Yeah. Ditto.
Mhm. We still know it's gonna happen, but
Yeah.
I'm just glad we don't know. But you know what? I'm fine. My ignorance is bliss right now, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
But honestly, though, well, look, Liren's going to take this in like, well, they decided not to do it, so we're safe for now. And I'm like, dude, no, you're not safe for now.
No,
You need to
they're
leave
getting
town.
bolder.
You need to get out of town
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Stop believing in the best in them because it's being corrupted, clearly.
Yep.
They're stepping out. They're clearly look, they have covered their faces because 'cause they're still a little bit ashamed or whatever, but the point is they basically made a little mob to come and rob you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's when you hightail it out of there. You're done.
Yep.
But he's actually kind of too prideful and too idealistic. Him
Yeah.
and Ellen would get along. Yeah.
Probably.
Mm,
Possibly.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to that darn Kite if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel. And we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks.
Good
Bye.